Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Nazir Daf, Kav Gimel Mudal 23A1 says the Mishnah. Hayisha shenadra benazir. A woman comes and she says that she's going to become a nazira. Vayita shotai b'yainu mitamei metim. She's drinking wine and she's becoming mitamei metim. Or she gets lashes. We flog her with the whip. Yeah, says now if the husband comes and he does hafarat nedarim, now she doesn't even know about it. And now she's coming and drinking wine, and she doesn't get lashes. Right? Why? Because he already annulled it. She didn't do any of it really. Rabbi Yehuda says, she doesn't get the lashes, mina Torah, tispog makat mardut. You give her lashes, rabbinical lashes. So at the end of the day, she's still, right, which is the exact same. It's just, there's a few differences. No, so there's a whole machloket. What is the difference between the malkut, right, malkut or not? Some people say that it's the exact same amount of number, and you just call it differently. Other people do want to say that it's different amount of numbers. There's a whole machloket. What exactly is it? But usually we go that it's the exact same amount of number. Just one is rabbinical and one is biblical. Okay? Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan. Right? So he comes and he says this. We learned in the Braita, Isha haferam v'Adonai yislach. Right? The husband, remember when it says Isha, lemapike, and there's a yod, so it's Isha means her husband will do hafarat nedarim, and then Hashem will forgive her. Isha shefer labala v'lo yada. We're talking about that the woman, that her husband did hafarat nedarim and she didn't know. Hakatu medaber she tzricha kapara tzricha, and she still needs kapara tzricha. Ukshaya magia Rabbi Akiva. We wrote this down if you remember a few days ago. When Rabbi Akiva got to this pasuk, ayabuche, he used to cry. Why? This woman, she wanted to eat chazir, not literally, but she wanted to eat an isur, right? I mean, she thought it was a sur, and she's coming and she's eating, and at the end, it was kosher meat. Imagine, you purposely wanted to go to a non-kosher restaurant and eat, and all of a sudden you realize, 1 second, it's kosher l'mahadin. Right? There's a KM over there. You didn't realize. And you had b'chavara, you wanted to come, and you wanted you wanted to come and to do an averah. And you actually came out. And still says the Gemara, you need a kapara. Yeah, you need a kapara. You need slicha. So he says, imagine, says Rabbi Akiva, he started crying. He says, if a person wanted to do an averah, and he actually did do an averah, imagine then what type of a kapara and a slicha does he need? If the one that he wanted to do an averah, and at the end he didn't do an averah, and he still needs kapara or slicha, so then imagine a guy that he really did want to do an averah, and he did do the averah. You know what type of an kapara, fat kapara he needs? And a big slicha.
I don't think it's much higher than the other.
Exactly.
That's the Gemara. המתכוון לעלות בידו בשר חזיר ועלה בידו בשר חזיר, הלכה כמלחמה, כיוצא בדבר אתה אומר, the exact same הלכה applies, ולא ידע והשם ונשא עוונו. What does that mean? ולא ידע והשם ונשא עוונו. There's a chet, and you still need a kapara. What does that mean? ומה שנתכוון לעלות בידו בשר צלה, ועלה בידו בשר חזיר. Imagine right now you wanted to eat kosher meat. And then what happened was, you actually eat non-kosher meat. For example, the chaticha that you have safek shuman, safek chelev, Amarka, the pasuk says, "V'nasav lo." You still have to carry the burden of your sin. Meaning, a person can't just say, "Listen, I thought it was kosher." No, you have to understand. And at the end of the day, you're still going to get punished, and you have to bring a korban and everything. So imagine if you actually wanted to eat avera, and you ate avera, the more so you're going to have to come and do the same thing. Isa ben Yehuda says, imagine right now you have two pieces. One of them is chelev, one of them is shuman. Remember, chelev is the prohibited fats, shuman is the permitted fats. And you still need a kapara. The ones that are suffering, they should suffer. Why? Because if you actually just pay attention a little bit, you see from here what it is, omikadim. That even if you did an amiram b'shogeg, you're still called a chote v'noseh avono. Mamash, you did it accidentally. It wasn't that you're coming with no, accidental. So imagine what it is. And so ask the Gemara, why do we have three cases? Why do we have these cases? Right? So says the Gemara, we need them. Why? What about the woman? There, the woman needed the kapara sicha. Mishum de miikara lisura yikavan, but she had the kavanah for isur. Meaning the woman, she didn't know that the husband did Afra Nadarim. So she's doing it le'achis. She's doing it to do an isur. Aval here, when you have a piece of meat or a piece of fat, and it's a safek shel chelev, safek shel shuman, you had kavanah for the heter, right? So I would say that the lo by kavanah, you don't need the kapara u'slicha. So there, it was the thought. By the woman, you had the negative thought. She wanted to do an avirah. Here, you didn't want to do the avirah. You thought it was a permitted piece. V'itman had if it was only spoken about by the permitted piece, right? Dika isura, that there is an isura 100%. Avlisha, but the woman, the fella bala, that the husband did do the afra nedarim, the teira, there's no isur, it's all mutar. So it means each one has a positive and a negative. By the woman, you have the thought, which is the pre-thought, which is the negative. And by the piece of fat, there was no pre-thought, but you really thought that you wanted to get the permitted. But mitzat sheni, the action. By the woman, the action was permitted. Here it's prohibited. If there was only mentioned these two, I would have thought to say, these two you have a kapara tzlicha, but there's no kavua isur. Right? I've got one piece. I just don't know if it's going to be prohibited or permitted. But in the case of two pieces of fats, one of them chelev, one of them shuman, teikva isura, that the isur is already there. It's kavua. I would say that it's not enough to have kapara tzlicha. Kamashmalan comes teach you to do those. That's why you have three cases. The case of the woman, right, that the husband did afara nedarim without her knowledge. The case of one piece of fats that you don't know if it's chelev or shuman, if it's permitted or prohibited. Or the case of two pieces. One of them for sure is nevela, one of them like chelev, one of them is shuman, and you ate one of them, and you got the wrong one. In all three cases, that's why we said that you need the kapara u'slicha. Next, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Says Rabbi Yochanan. My dictate, what does it mean?
Two and not three, right?
In which one? Okay. It says Rabbi Yochanan. My dictate, what does it mean in pasuk? That it's just the ways of Hashem, the path of Hashem. Tzadikim will always go through it. Uposhim, and the sinners, yikashlubam, will have a stumbling block for it. Mashal Yishem Adam, shetzaru pischen. You have a mashal to two people. They come and they roast their Pesach. One of them is eating it for mitzvah. Another one is eating it for achila gasa. He's a glutton. The one that he's coming and eating it as a mitzvah. He's a tzaddik. But the one that's eating it for achila gasa, uposhim yikashluba. So Amar Shakish says Shakish to Rabbi Yochanan, right? He says what? Somebody that eats a korban pesach as a achila gasa, you call them a rasha? He's called a poshea? Okay, he didn't do mitzvah minufchar, but pesach, but he did eat the korban pesach. You're right. He came and he was a glutton, but he's not. He's eating a korban pesach. Well, you're calling him a rasha? So he says ella, but rather it's another case. Mashal ishtem adam. Right? A mashal to two people. Right? Both of them, he's with his wife and his sister. One of them, he went and he had relations with his, right, with his wife. And the other one is with his sister. The one that had his wife and he had relations with his wife, at least he's a tzaddik. But this one that he got a sister, so then he's going to have a son with that. So ask the Gemara on that. Midami? Can you compare both cases? When we were talking about, it's all the same path. Meaning the same path that the tzaddik went, the rasha went, but for the tzaddik it was good, and for the rasha it was bad. It's like the same korban pesach. You could have the same korban pesach. This one's eating l'shem mitzvah, the other one's eating l'shem achila gasa, and therefore it's a tzaddik and a rasha. Here, there are two different bodies. One of them is the wife, and one of them is the sister. So if you have two different people, and they're both with the wife and sister, and one with the wife, and the other guy, he went with the sister instead of his wife, that it's two different bodies. No, the mashal is to Lot and his two daughters. The exact same action, but they had the kavanah of a mitzvah, meaning the daughters of Lot, they wanted to do a mitzvah with their father. So therefore it's tzadikim lechubam. But him, Lot, had the kavanah for avirah. So therefore, it's pushrim mikashubam. So says the Gemara, maybe Lot also had the kavanah to do a mitzvah with his daughters.
Why not?
Right? Exactly. Maybe.
Did he even have a kavanah?
What?
Did he even have kavanah?
So Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol pasuk hazeh, when it says, Vayisa Lot et enav, vayar kol kikar kichula mashkeh, that Lot picked up his eyes and he saw that the entire kikar Yarden, everything was beautiful. Everything was, the entire pasuk was for avirah. Ne'emar, Vayisa Lot, he picked up his eyes, is nisya. Where is it written nisya? Vatisa eshet adonav etenav. What does that mean? You see from here, znut. Meaning when it says Vayisa lot etenav, he picked up his eyes and he saw Sodom, so he wanted to go away from Abraham and live in Sodom. That Vayisa enav, he looked, he says, there's a lot of promiscuity there. I want to go over there. Because of this, he says, so when it says Vayisa, so that's already an Avera. Vatisa eshet adonea, right? Et adonav etenea. When it says enav, he yashra be'enai. She was good in the eyes of Shimshon. Remember, this is talking about Dalia, right? That she was the wife of. Sorry. The first one's Delilah, which was right. Delilah, which is the wife of Shimshon, right? And because it says ki yashra be'enai, and also then afterwards it says vayar, right? Vayar. What did it say? It said 1 second. Vayisa lot. So Vayisa was nut. Enav ki yashra be'enai. Vayar et kol kikar hayarden. It says that he saw all the kikar. Vayar ota shechem ben chamor. Et kol kikar hayarden. But it says ki beda isha zonal. Kikar lechem. Kikar. So therefore you see kikulam mashke, because he saw that the entire land was full of mashke, was very fertile. El chay acharei me'avai unotni lachmi memai. Samrim flishti shemni v'shikuyai. What does that mean? The mashke here is talking to do with zima. So you see from here that the entire pasuk, the Lot comes and he says that he saw the land of the, you know what, I'm going to go over there. The entire pasuk was for an avera. So you cannot tell me that the guy was a tzaddik if the entire pasuk is being midrash that everything was lidvar avera. So ask the Gemara, sanis. So what are you talking about? But he was an honest, right? They gave him to drink, right? Like, the guy is drunk. What do you want him to do now? He's force majeure. You're going to take him responsible for his actions. So Tana Mishum Rabbi Yosef Rechoni Lama Nekud al Vav Uvkuma. Why did it say B'Shechva Uvkuma? And there's a dot on Uvkuma, right? Shala Bechira. Lomar Sheb'Shechva Lo Yada. At the beginning, when he fell asleep, he didn't know. Aval B'Kuma, but when he woke up, right, then he did know. Meaning when he already got up, right, or when she got up from him, he knew exactly what happened. The first one, Bechira. So says the Gemara, okay, but it was already afterwards. Meaning, the first daughter comes, gives him to drink. He was drunk, he had no idea what he was doing. So he had relations with the first daughter. All of a sudden, when she got up from him, he realized what happened. So they asked the Gemara, so then what do you want him to do now? It's already afterwards. Whatever happened. So then why did he drink wine the second night again? Meaning, why did he drink wine the second night? If you already know what happened the first night, what are you doing? Right, the second night you're drinking again.
He didn't drink it, they gave it to him.
Okay, but that's it. So because of that, another thing also to do with Lot, Darash Rava comes and he says, the Nikuda, no, on top. Darash Rava comes and he says, what does it mean in the pasuk? Ach nifsha mikriyat oz. What does that mean? The Poshea Mored is from a Ir Chazaka, Chav Gimel Amud 23b. Umidyanim kibriach armon. So he says like this. He says, Ach nifsha mikriyat oz zelot shapiresh me Abraham. Look at Abraham was like Kiryat Az. He was zechuto mamash magen alav. And Lot, that he was a brother, he was nifsha. He separated from him, from Kiryat Oz. Umidyanim kibriach armon sheitil midyanim kibrichil memron. Right? He went and he made merivot, very strong merivot in the Armon ben Yisrael to Ammon and Moab. Why? Because it says levo Ammonim uMoavim mikal Hashem. So therefore, that means he came and he did such a bad thing that at the beginning he separated from Abraham, and then afterwards he caused a lot of strife for Israel. Darash Rava v'itema Rav Yitzchak, says Rava, and some people says Rav Yitzchak. My dictive was in the pasuk l'tava yivakesh nifrad. There's a beautiful Gemara. You see, there's all agata. This is talking about, remember, l'tava yivakesh nifrad, which means that he's separated, right? Yivakesh nifrad, he's separating, right? He's seeking ta'ava. Who's this going on, right? Bechol tushia yitgala. And it's going to be revealed as cherpa, bechol tushia. The tava is the Lot, right? Why? Because he separated from Abraham Avinu in order to go to achar tavat libo, in order to go after the desire of his heart. Bechol tushia yitkala, shenitkala liklono. And look at his kalon, look at his embarrassment in all bateknesiot to midrashot, which means in the entire Torah. Why? Because we come and we say lo yavo amonim u'moavi b'kal Hashem, whether it's Torah shebal peh or the Tzran, also the Mishnah in Yevamot, or Amonim Moavi Asurim, Visurim, Visolam, which means that you see from here that because he went and he was Letava Yivakesh Nifrad, at the end, Bechol Tushia, whether it's Torah Shebichtav or Torah Shebal Peh, Yitgala, it's going to be revealed, right? His wickedness of what he did. Amar Ula says, Tamar zinta v'zimri zina. Do you know that Tamar, the daughter-in-law of Yehuda, she was also zinta with her father-in-law, right? And Zimri ben Salu, he was zina with the Ammonite, with the Moabit, because Bibat Sur, Nesi Midian. Tamar zinta yatsa mimena melachim uvim. Do you realize what happened? Tamar, she had relations and moral relation, if you want to call it, but she got from her kings and prophets, right? Zimri, he did it. And look how many thousands of Jews were killed. Look at the difference between them, which means you see from here that you could have an action which is done l'shem shamayim, it brings beracha forever. And you could have an action that it's only done the ta'ava and for an isur, and look what it brings. The same action. At the end of the day, it was a relations, and it wasn't a relations which was 100% kosher. So what do you mean 100% kosher? Meaning that it was a relations. It's relations with the father-in-law, but it's the kavanah. You see how the kavanah, that her kavanah was l'shem shamayim. It brought her melachim, nevi'im, kings and prophets. And look at his kavanah. Look what happened. It killed thousands and thousands of Israel, minimum of 22,000.
From an ethic perspective,
you see from here, listen to this. It's greater an avera for Hashem, that you're doing it for Hashem, than a mitzvah, which you're not doing it for Hashem, you're doing it for another reason. So says the Gemara, says the Gemara, what are you talking about? I thought it's written, you should always do mitzvot, even if it's not lishma. Says the Gemara, no. What does it mean? Like a mitzvah shelo lishma. Not that it's greater than it. It's the same thing. Meaning, an avera lishma is like a mitzvah shelo lishma. The same thing. It's not greater. Before we said that an avera lishma is greater than a mitzvah shelo lishma. No, it's not greater. It's par. So you have avera lishma and a mitzvah shelo lishma. It's on the same level. Okay, it's par. Right? How do we know that? It says in pasuk, Tevorach minashim yael eshet chevel hakeni, minashim baol tevorach. Until today, by the way, you should know, we give the blessings to a kala. The minhag in many places in Morocco, in Gibraltar until today, was that you write down in the ketubah, minashim ba'ohel tevorach. Now remember, who's nashim ba'ohel? Like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. They were always ba'ohel, right? Where's Sarah? Mine ba'ohel. Where's Rivka? He brought her to the tent. Everything is always the tent. Was the tent, was the Shekhinah, was the house, was everything. So that's why we always say about the tent. Those are the mitzvot of the Nashim. That's the greatness. So we say Minashim Ba'otavra, which means Yael Eshet Chever Hakeni. She's on the level of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Right? Imagine what it is. And what happened? Manashim Shoel Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Now what's going on here? Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, you know what the Avera Yael was? Sheva Be'ilot Ba'al Oto Rasha Be'otasha. He had relations with her 7 times. 7 times he had relations with her. Right? He was a powerful guy, yeah? Shneimar says the pasuk, Ben Raglea, between her legs, Kara, number 1. Kara, Nafal, Shachav. Right? Then it says, Ben Raglea, Kara, Nafal, Basher Kara, Nafal Shadud. So basically it says, since it says Kara, Nafal, Shachav together, right? And it's written 7 times in the same pasuk, it's mashma that he had 7 times relations with her. Right? That means if you're now coming and you're telling me, Ribono Shel Olam, he had relations with her 7 times, and you're telling me that she's a tzedeket like Sarai Menu, like Rivka, like Rachel and Leah, but that's what we're saying here. So says the Gemara, 1 second. Okay, fine. Right? Fine. You're going to tell me now, but that coming Tanya mi beila dile. This is what? She's not benefiting? Yeah, she's not benefiting. At the end of the day, she's having relations with a goy. She's having relations with a person. You understand? So now it says the Gemara, so she was benefiting from the relations. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol tovatan shel reshaim ena ra shel tzadikim, which means anything which is good by the reshaim is bad for the tzadikim. Shneimar says the pasuk, Hisham lecha min deber Yaakov tov adra. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells Lavan, don't speak good or bad to Yaakov. He says, Bisha, I understand Ra, Shapir, is going to be good. But Tov, why not? Speak good to your son-in-law. What's the big deal? Right? Elalav Shmamina, but you see from here, Tovatov, the good of Lavan, is bad by Yaakov Avinu. And even if he was going to speak good, it's bad. Shemamina, that's what we do. So you see from here the same thing with Bayael, which means since she was a tzadkanit, for her it was like something bad. She didn't benefit at all. Her entire kavanah was only the Shem Shemayim. So says the Gemara. So this is an incredible Gemara, right? It's like showing you. Remember, afterwards she came, she was one that killed Sisera. That's caused the downfall of the of the entire army. That's why we do the 100 shofarot, right? On Rosh Hashanah. This is all the entire story over there. So Gufa says the Gemara, I'm gonna view. Gufa, we come and we say, I'm gonna view them. Rav says, a person should always learn Torah mitzvot even if it's not going to be lishman. Shelo lishma, shevido shelo lishma, but lishma. If you don't do lishma, it's going to come lishma. Shebischar abayim u'shnaim korbanos shekriv balakarasha. Because the 42, pay attention, 42 korbanot, the balakarasha came and he brought zachav yatsa mimenu rut. Right. Remember now that I have 42 for the raffle. Not only it's a Shem and Bet of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, the 42 name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the 42 Masaot and everything, we have here now 42 Korbanot, Balak Arasha, right, that's what it says here. Balak Arasha brought 42 Korbanot.
Also Membet.
Shem and Bet, yes, and Ana V'choach.
Where it is also.
What?
Miami.
So Bila, every single time, he did it three.
I'm lost. Now Yatzarut.
Because Balak is Melech Moav. Ruth
Okay.
Moaviyah. So because of those 42 sacrifices that he brought, because it says over here, Bilam told him to build 7 mizbechot, and in each one in 3 different places, right? And on every single mizbeach, he brought a parva'ayil. So it comes out that he did 42 korbanot, right?
Exactly.
Why? Because if you have 7 mizbechot, 7, and he did it in 3 different places, it's 21. Now, if you have it in 21, and every single one you brought a parva'ayil, it's 21 times 2, it's 42.
But I didn't understand why they call it root.
No. So Ruth Moaviyah.
She's
She's in the center of Balak. Balak Melech Moav. Ruth Moaviyah.
I know because she was from Moab.
Exactly. So that means he was zochet to have Ruth from him because of these 42 sacrifices. The Amar Rabbi Yosef Rechanina says Rabbi Yosef Rechanina, Ruth was bat beno shel Eglon Melech Moav hayta. She was a tzetzei of Moav, tzetzei of Balak. So it comes out that Ruth came from Balak. Now, why did she come from Balak? Only because of these sacrifices that he brought. So 42, right? Remember, 42 sacrifices. How do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a reward even for a nice speech? Of the, not profanity, but nice speech. It says, the older sister, meaning the daughter of Lot, the older one, Kritem Moav, called her from Moav. Amar le Rachmana, says the Torah, don't start fighting with Moav. But the Tzira, she called him Ben Ami, Ammon. Moav is from my father. Right? Moav, Me'av, from my father. Ammon is from my nation. She didn't say she came from her father, from her nation. Amarle, he says, Al titsurem ve'al titgarbam. What does that mean? Right? He says, you shouldn't, the first one, Al tatzarem Moav tigabam milchama, you can't do milchama, but you could be mitzael otam. The second one, Ammon, the fact that she had a nicer language and she didn't tell everybody this is coming from her father, so therefore don't even do tsar. Even tsar you can't call her. You see from here, the beauty of even a nice language, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come and he'll give you a reward. So however though, run to do a mitzvah. How do we know that? Because the older sister ran one night earlier and she had relations with her father. Zachta ve'kadma, Kavdala Demudalev 2481 on the top. Zachta ve'kadma arba'a dorot b'Yisrael Malchut. So therefore, she had 4 different generations to Malchut because there was Oved, Yishai, David, and Shlomo. All of them come from the Bechira, right? Shehem Yatzu Mirut, which came from the Bechira. The first one that was at Seirah that came to him was Rechovam, the son of Shlomo, which came from Naamah HaAmonit. So therefore, you see from here, meaning Shlomo Melech got married to Naamah HaAmonit. Naamah Amonit was from Ammon. She had Rechovam. Rechovam was the first king, right, during the time of Yerovam ben Nevat and Rechovam ben Shlomo. So therefore, the other 4 were Oved, Yishai, David HaMelech, and Shlomo HaMelech. All of them come from Ruth HaMoaviyah, from Moab. Rechovam, which comes from Naamah also, which is Ammonit, was 4 generations later. So the fact that the older sister went running to be with her father because she wanted to do the mitzvah. Again, they had covenant to do the mitzvah. She went running to do mitzvah. She had 4 generations earlier of kings more than her sister Amonit, the one, the second one.
Who's over? But Anisha were not kings.